Well, hello there. Tom Green coming back at you with some XD goodness. And today's goodness is squeezing video into Adobe XD. If you are going to be using video in XD, the odds are pretty close to 100% that you're going to see this message. Are you ready? Here it comes. Yikes. Don't you just hate that? And in this video, I'm going to show you a painless way to deal with it. So I'll just click OK to dismiss it. So the first thing I want to do is just sort of give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to pull this over. And we find out that, the video is 238.9 megabytes in size. That's a little bit larger than the 15 megabyte hard limit. And again, this is a good way of starting to think about video. When you're using it in XD, think clips, don't think video. So how do we deal with it? Well, we're going to deal with it by trimming it down. And we're going to trim it down in the Adobe Media Encoder. Now, I use the Media Encoder quite a bit, but if you have other video editing software, basically the techniques all work. So the first thing I'm going to do is just bring the video in. There it is, and I'm just going to click on H.264, and I'm now in the editor. Now, I never like working on the original, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the name of the video to Island. Now, we can see down here that the video is 1 minute and 25 seconds, so about a minute and a half. Which is, you don't think, well, gee, that's not that bad. But then you look at the file size of 238, and then you look at the estimated file size of 110, and there seems to be a disconnect. I want you to pay attention to the word estimated. All right, so the first thing we want to do is just get this thing trimmed down. So I'm going to take it down to about 20 seconds. There we go. So we're sitting at 20 seconds, and you can see that the file size has plummeted from 110 to 25. So that's a quick way of doing it. Now, if you try trimming it down by setting the out point inside of XD, it is not going to work, simply because all it does is it says that's all we're going to play of this video. It's not trimming out any excess. So you're still going to have that file size in there. So we're going to export the video, we're going to export the audio, and the first thing we want to do, of course, is come over to video. So I'm just going to set the width to 800 pixels wide, which is the width on the artboard. And if I press return, you can see that it shrinks down to 800 by 450, but the file size didn't change. So changing the physical dimensions of a file has no effect on file size. So what we're going to do is actually pull down the file size. So we'll just come along through here till we hit the bitrate settings. And this is where the magic will happen. First thing I want to do is select VBR2 pass. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the term, a quick way of thinking about it is there are two passes through the video when it's encoding. The first pass looks for changes for compression, and the second pass actually does the compression. Now watch what happens down here when I change the target bitrate to 5. Boom, 13 megabytes. Now that's not bad at all. And we can leave it at 12. That's no big deal. This is not going to affect playback. Now just remember, you're playing this back in a prototype. This is not going live. Basically what you want to do is squeeze the video in. So your focus is not on absolute quality, your focus is down here on file size. And the final thing I do, of course, is use the maximum render quality. And then I'm going to go over to audio, and I'll show you another way of bringing down the file size. If you're playing the video, 48 kilohertz is CD quality, so I'm going to knock it back to 24. And I'm going to take the channels to mono. And notice I lost a megabyte right there. So that's another way of cutting it back. So if you have an audio track, you might want to switch it over to mono. Again, what do you need video for if it's just a prototype? And of course, I'll knock the bitrate back to about 64 kilobits per second. So I've got this all set up. And you just click OK, and we're back to the encoder. And we're going to click this encode button here, or start button here. Pay attention down here, because you will actually see this thing go through the 2 passes. You'll see it actually compress twice. So let's go. Okay, so we're in the first pass. And there's the second pass. And it's done. So I'm just going to minimize it. And let's bring it in. So there's Island right there. You can see it. And I'm just going to bump it up there. And you can see, no problems. And if I play the video, there you go. So the best way to think about these things is as 4 position only, basically telling the user there is a video here and the video plays. It's not the full board video, obviously. And it will be up to your developer to actually manage getting that in. So there you go, squeezing video into Adobe XD.